We have more information about the widespread conspiracy to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Now, this is not a conspiracy like you would think, or I should say what the popular narrative on the right is that Joe Biden somehow got voter fraud and didn't actually win the election. Trump won. No, that's all BS. No, the real conspiracy was Trump and people like Don Jr., Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, all getting together and trying to steal the 2020 election. Now, once again, we have from the text records of Mark Meadows, one Don Jr. sending him strategies and ideas on how to overturn the election. Now, here's what he said in the text here. Quote, "This is what we need to do. Please read it, and please get it to everyone that needs to see it, because I'm not sure we're doing it. It's very simple. We have multiple paths. We control them all." Now think about that for a second. We have multiple paths and we control them all. What is this a reference to? Well, one of them would be fake electors. People who claim to be state electors who would vote for Trump in the Electoral College, despite, of course, Trump maybe not winning that state. Did you not win Michigan? Okay, it doesn't matter. We're going to send fake electors anyway that are going to claim that Donald Trump won in reality, and the numbers are wrong because there had to have been fraud. And that's what it is. It was fraud. Yes, that's it. And Donald Trump's a real winner. Please ignore the evidence, ignore the actual numbers that show that Joe Biden got a little bit more, got millions more votes. Doesn't matter. Trump won because we say it is. Trust me, bro. No, we're not going to trust you. There's no reason to trust you. And so, nonetheless, they sent out those fake electors. Some had stolen official state seals in order to try to make their paperwork look legitimate. They weren't. And of course, they were waiting essentially to take advantage of the chaos had Pence not voted to certify the election. If Pence had joined the 147 other Republicans in Congress in rejecting the certification, conservative media would have blasted the news of it nonstop. That was the plan, in the hopes that it would muddy the water. And essentially, when they do that, muddy the water, it would try to put enough doubt into the average person's mind that there was some problem with the election, that it wasn't legitimate, that the votes were illegitimate, and that we either need to try again, which is what Trump says that he would have done. Oh, we would have had another election. Are you entirely certain that that would have been the case? Now, I don't think a lot of people talk about that. The refrain is, but don't worry. This wasn't to take over. We just wanted to redo the election, which is unprecedented, by the way. Never happened before. And we're going to redo the election, and then this time we'll accept the results. Okay, what if you lose again? Well, then we're going to redo it again. Well, what about after that? We're going to redo it. Okay, fine. We're not going to redo it. We're just going to win forever. That's it. Unless it shows 90% of the vote going to Trump, then it's illegitimate. Well, we see where they're going with this. We see that that's the ultimate thing that they want to do. And so, again, these people were trying to steal an election. Now, you combine, by the way, that with the numerous challenges on the courts that were rejected by the courts, even conservative Trump-appointed justices that were rejecting this. And by the way, they were even attempting to try to turn it to the Supreme Court. Again, we have text from Ginny Thomas as well. That's the wife of Justice Clarence Thomas, who did not recuse himself, did not have to recuse himself. And so they go and basically they're going to try, or they were going to try, and had tried to, at first elevate the big lie, and then take it to the courts to try to annul the victory, take it to Congress to try to annul the victory, anything that they could do to try to reinstate Donald Trump as president. It's amazing. And we know this because it is this multifaceted conspiracy known as the Green Bay Sweep. Now, this is what Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon openly talked about. They just bragged about it. Yeah, of course, Green Bay sweep. This is what we wanted to do. We were going to steal an election. Oh, interesting. Now, that means that everybody who listened to them knew about this. They knew about it. And so if they actually did these things, which we have a lot of evidence of, well, wouldn't that mean that they're complicit in a conspiracy in order to steal an election? Now, that said, CNN said the text was sent on November 5th, 2020, 2 days before Biden was declared the winner of the election and the next president. So my guess is that, look, Don Jr. was like, oh, crap. We know that Donald Trump was going to lose. Therefore, we're just going to try to steal it before. Oh, right. Okay. Now, according to CNN, in his text to Meadows, Trump Jr. laid out the strategies. CNN also said that Trump Jr. suggested that if the measures did not work, lawmakers in Congress should dismiss the electoral results and just vote to keep Trump in office. Let's just ignore the electors. And let's, ignore the will of the people as well, who voted. Let's just let Congress decide. Yes, of course, because that's a great democracy. Well, we don't have a democracy. In fact, this is possible, and that's what's messed up. All right? Look, I think that we need to abolish the Electoral College. I think we should have let the people decide the elections. In fact, had it been this way, Donald Trump would have never been president if it had not been for the Electoral College in 2016. Let's be fair, right? Let's point that out. Hillary Clinton got 3 million more votes than Trump. It was the Electoral College. What the Electoral College is affirmative action for Republicans. That's what it is. It's the participation trophy of participation trophies. Except the only problem is they get to decide, because, these small swing states with not many people in them, they get to decide who our president is, who our leader is. So a little bit more important than a participation trophy, but that's what they get. That's what they get. Nobody complains about that. Not even the Democrats talk about that, how we should get rid of the Electoral College. It's very, very rare that you hear them talk about this. And of course, I think that comes to Democratic weakness. But remember, the whole purpose of the Electoral College was to protect the more sparsely populated conservative states from being overruled by the more populous blue states, i.e. to block direct democracy in order to give in to make these Republican red states join the union and stay in the union. Because again, somehow places containing more people, the majority should have less power than the minority. Now, unfortunately, that's how it works today. We coddle the right-wing minority, and they seize all the levers of power and ensure the majority never get true representation and never get anything that they want. Now back to Junior. Now Junior had an excuse. Well, at least his lawyer did. His lawyer, Alan Futerfas, I don't know how to say his name. Here's what he said to CNN. After the election, Don received numerous messages from supporters and others. Given the date, this message likely originated from someone else and was forwarded. And? Oh, so Donald Trump Jr. didn't write it, according to him, but he liked that message and sent it along anyway. That message that supported overturning the will of the people and overturning an election based on nothing. Does that make it better? Again, if it was not his message, he at least agreed with it. Because he didn't say anything like, oh, look at this terrible crap. I can't believe they're trying to pull this. At least I would give him some sort of cover, right? But no. If it's not his, he still agrees with it, and that's still pretty bad. But look, this tells me again that Trump Jr., and likely Donald Trump, because, come on, honestly, many others were still planning this ahead of time. Donald Trump had laid the groundwork for the whole big lie for years. During his administration, if I lose, it's because of voter fraud. It's because of this, it's because of that. It's not because I did a terrible job with COVID and I just did a terrible job in general, and I was very unpopular and won without the majority of votes. No, it was voter fraud. It was something else. Yes, it was their fault, not my fault, never. What do you mean I'm not a loser? I can never be a loser. I can't lose. The L word does not exist in my vocabulary. I'm sorry, he can't even say vocabulary. Very doubtful. But look, this is why last month, a federal judge pointed out that Trump likely committed multiple felonies. Quote, based on the evidence, the court finds that it is more likely than not that President Trump and Dr. John Eastman, a law professor who had advised Trump, put out the Eastman memo, dishonestly conspired to obstruct the joint session of Congress on January 6, 2021. Judge David Carter ruled. Carter also described Trump's scheme as a, quote, coup in search of a legal theory. Look, it may have been a soft coup, but guess what? A coup is a coup, soft or not. By the way, soft is trying to usurp electoral power. Hard, of course, is where you break out the violence. And look, to be fair, some of what happened in the January 6th riot could be considered hard and a definite coup attempt. And so, look, they tried to steal an election overall. And then when they failed, interestingly enough, well, they blame the other side for it, obviously. Oh, no, it was them. It was Antifa. It was the FBI. It was somebody else. It was the deep state. Yes, it was a deep state that I was doing such a good job at exposing. It was the it was a QAnon. I was supposed. I'm sorry, not QAnon. It was pedophiles. That's what it was. Yes. And I'm the head of QAnon, and I'm going to arrest everybody. The storm will happen. No storm. Just stupid. You guys did it. That's your conspiracy. And thank goodness they failed. We might not be so lucky next time. All right. More. This is legal experts that weighed in. Here's Lawrence Tribe, a Harvard law professor. Here's what he wrote. This text is a smoking rifle. Glenn Kirshner, former prosecutor, now an analyst for NBC, went further, saying the subject line of Don Jr.'s email might have well been, I'm a member of my father's criminal conspiracy to overturn the election. How long do we have to endure this open treasonous criminality by Trump and the company before someone gets indicted? Well, now look, that's the question, right? Yes, the first part, obviously, criminal conspiracy. But when is anybody going to get held accountable? I don't know. I don't think it will. The Republican Party, unfortunately, will never hold Donald Trump accountable. No. They are the Donald Trump defense squad. It's amazing. This is not something that the Republican Party cares about, especially the Republican voter. But the party itself, they only care about power. And guess what? Power these days now means never giving in to the other side at all. Don't give them an inch. Even if they're right, even if we're 100% wrong, and yes, we tried to overturn an election, we will still never give the Democrats any power at all. You know why? Because it's all about power. I mean, when you say it that way, boy, it's kind of stupid to give the other side power, wouldn't it be? That's exactly how the Republicans think. Why would we ever give Democrats power? We hate them. We think they're, drinking the blood of children. Why would we ever give those people power? That's what they believe. I know, complete and utter insanity, but so they'll never give the Democrats any power. They'll always take more and more and more for themselves, even if they have the lie to do it. Especially if they have the lie to do it, because they have no qualms about lying at all, ever. Now, as far as Democrats we have seen will empower the other side every single day, all day long. They're going to reach out, they'll bend over backwards, or they'll just bend over to Republicans because they think that makes them somehow better. Hey, look at us, we're being bipartisan. What? No, that's not what that means. Giving Republicans everything they want is not being bipartisan. No, it just makes them weak. And the Republican Party right now, the modern Republican Party preys on weakness. And the Democratic Party has that in spades. So the question, of course, for that is why are the Democrats so weak? How are they so weak? Now, does the money make them weak? Or does the moneyed interests, do the moneyed interests intentionally find weak Democrats, shower them with cash, flood them with cash, and of course advertising, and then of course do the most aggressive smears against progressives, against people who will actually fight Republicans, and they get those people into power, the weak ones. So that the weak ones will kowtow to Republicans and eventually allow Republicans to take power and then give the donors what? Tax cuts, deregulation, and more power, corporate rule. Either way, whether it be, the classic chicken or the egg question, does the money fuel the weakness, or is the weakness elevated by the money? It doesn't really matter at this point, because you end up with weak Democrats like Merrick Garland, for example. Merrick Garland hasn't gone after Donald Trump, and I don't think he will. They barely touched Steve Bannon. They barely touched Peter Navarro, openly admitting that, we're not going to go after them, even though they're in criminal contempt. We should throw them in jail. They should be in a prison cell right now for refusing to, follow the subpoenas, to follow what they're supposed to do. But we don't do that. We don't throw people, rich people, powerful people in jail. That doesn't happen in this country. Now, if you're poor, you're very likely to go to jail over little things, small things. You're more likely to go to jail for stealing a $10, something from a store for $10 than you are if you're a millionaire and you defraud millions of people out of hundreds of millions of dollars. If this whole thing is not stopped, it's going to get worse. And I'm really trying to warn people here. It's going to get worse if they don't do something. Because if you don't learn your lesson once, if they're not taught once, if they're not prevented from doing this again, somehow, then they're going to do it again. They're going to do it again. 2024 is the next thing. Donald Trump's going to run for president. And Republicans will continue to try to steal more power. And unfortunately, Democrats will roll over for it. So I'm really, really concerned about what's going to happen here. 2024, looks like it could possibly be far worse than we could imagine. Maybe not. I'm hoping not. But, I'm worried, and I think we should all be worried.